It is a stunning irony, I think, that even as the governor is about to announce a $14 billion deficit, we can still find funds to kill those who kill, all the while proclaiming that killing is wrong.
Some of the people I've represented over the years, mainly, for example, or stereotypically young black men from New Orleans, have said that if they hadn't been convicted of capital murder, they'd be dead by now. And it's only the inexpressibly inefficient American judicial system that's kept them alive on death row. That's a sad commentary, isn't it? But I remember when I was living in New Orleans, I lived just outside the St. Thomas projects. One year I was there, there were 1,600 people who lived in the projects, which of course was an all black, all minority, all poor area. It means that 1 in 100 people were killed. Can you imagine that? I mean, can you imagine that in, you know, in a city like London, for example? You've got 10 million people, you'd have 100,000 murders there. Really, the death statistics were sort of like being a soldier in Vietnam. And all of this was, you know, drug murders, this, that, and the other, all these terrible things going on. And so for a young person, particularly a young black person in New Orleans, you're actually way safer on death row than you would be if you were living on the streets of New Orleans. That's a terribly sad commentary. And it tells us a bit, perhaps, about what we have to do about our society if we have any hope of making it a decent one. And it's not to have the death penalty. I mean, to tell someone that they're going to be safer on death row is a sort of sad commentary on the society outside, isn't it? And I used to think about the houses in New Orleans. You know, all the houses had these huge bars on the windows and enormous locks. You know, we didn't. We had this lovely guy across the street who used to protect our house because, you know, he was a friend of mine and he was a sort of homeless person, but he wouldn't let anyone, you know, mess with me and my wife Emily. But by and large, people in New Orleans lived in their own little prisons. You know, they were in their house and they didn't dare creep outside after dark. And, you know, I used to look at that and think, who's the prisoner here? I mean, you know, what has society come to that the people who live in their houses are so afraid, and yet the people who are on death row think that somehow their lives are safer? I mean, that's a very, very sad commentary.
If we cannot execute the death penalty with absolute perfection and fairness, and it is undeniably clear that we cannot, then we are unqualified to execute anyone at all.